Welcome to my next 100 Season 1 episode review video. Before I get into that though, pretty important, if you haven't watched the first 5 episodes of the 100 Season 1, then it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this detailed review any further to avoid any potential spoilers. And full disclosure, I've already seen the 100 all the way through one time, and for the most part, I really like the show. The final 2 seasons, well, that's another story, but the first 5 seasons I thought were really solid, and then maybe my opinion will change on the final 2 seasons. So join me on the journey. Let's discuss this mostly awesome and amazing show. With all that said, this will be the 100 Season 1, Episode 5. The title of this episode is called Twilight / Gleaming. And this will be my review reaction recap after just finishing watching the episode. We start off with Clark and Finn, who are still in the bunker discussing the night before when they had sex. And Clark tells Finn she needed him and wanted it to be him. Finn jokes he just wanted to have his first Earth sex, and Clark was around and passively cued. They start kissing again. On the Ark, Abby's in lockup when Chancellor Jaha comes to visit her and tells her that they're reaching critical oxygen shortage levels within the Ark. The Council has granted Abby work release because so many of the Sky people are suffering from pulmonary toxicity, and Jaha tells Abby that the Council approved Marcus Kane's Population Reduction Act, and they start the culling of 320 people in 12 hours. So basically, 320 people are going to die in 12 hours. Abby asks about Raven Reyes, and Jaha tells her that she will probably die like all the others. Speaking of Raven, in her dropship, she is preparing to begin her descent through the atmosphere and is checking and setting her gauges. She pulls the retrofire lever and powers the thrusters to send her to Earth. Clark and Finn sit outside the bunker, and Clark tells Finn they should share the supplies with the other 100. But Finn tells her they should keep it a secret so they have some place to hide if they need to. They kiss again just as Clark sees Raven's dropship falling to the Earth. Finn tells her it is a shooting star and she should make a wish. As the dropship continues to fall, Clark realizes it's not a shooting star. Bellamy Blake is sleeping in his tent with Roma and Bree when he is awakened as Octavia calls for him to come outside. She points out the falling dropship, and the 100 wonder if the Ark is sending help. Clark and Finn get ready to leave the bunker to find out what might have been sent down from the Ark. Clark is hopeful that there is a radio. Jones and Bellamy are discussing where the pod might have landed when Octavia enters the tent and tells Bellamy that everyone is ready to get moving. Bellamy tells her they are going to wait until morning. Octavia asks Bellamy what happens if the grounders get to it first, but Bellamy insists on waiting until sunrise. Abby is in medical doing a vision check on a 9-year-old Reese Lemkin. She has lost all vision in her left eye due to chronic oxygen deprivation. Reese's father, Tor Lemkin, tries to put her hair back from her face with a barrette, but she jokingly brushes him off before going outside to wait. Abby explains to Tor that the decline in her vision has been accelerating the last few days, and Tor wants to know if they'll fix the air problem soon because his daughter should not have to deal with going blind, and he leaves. Jackson comes up and asks Abby if she is alright, and Abby asks Jackson to listen to the radio because that is the only way they will be able to help everyone on the Ark. Raven's pod has launched, and the automatic signal from the Ark is playing on loop across the radio as Raven sits unconscious from a head injury. Clark and Finn arrive back at the camp, and Fox approaches them, saying that Bellamy told everyone to wait until sunrise. Clark goes to look for Bellamy in his tent and finds Roma, who tells her Bellamy already left a while ago. Clark realizes Bellamy went after the radio in the dropship and takes off after him, with Finn following. Clark blames herself for getting distracted by Finn. Bellamy is heading towards Raven's dropship when Octavia catches up to him and confronts him about going after the pod. He shoves her and tells her to go home. She calls him a selfish dick, and he tells her he did it all to protect her. Bellamy finally admits to Octavia that he was offered a deal to get on the dropship and her if he shot Jaha, so he did. Bellamy tells her Jaha deserved it for floating their mother and locking Octavia up. Octavia tells him she didn't ask for him to do any of that and takes off. Marcus Kane explains to Jaha the population reduction plan. They will cut off the oxygen in Section 17 and make it appear to be an accident during the residents' sleep period. Jaha approves of the plan with one alteration. Jaha will be in Section 17 with the residents. Marcus Kane asks him not to do it, but Jaha tells him the Ark needs Kane because it isn't weakened by sediment. Bellamy arrives at Raven's pod and sees her moving about but still unconscious. He takes out his knife and cuts the wires to the radio and yanks it out. He then takes it down to a river and tosses it in. Raven awakens in the pod and removes her space helmet, discovering she has a head injury just as Clark opens the pod door and sees Raven. Raven then steps onto the ground for the first time, twirling in amazement and asking if it's raining. Clark nods with a smile on her face and welcomes Raven to Earth. Finn arrives and calls out to her. Raven runs up to him and they reunite and kiss passionately. Remember, Raven and Finn were a thing, and obviously Finn thought, I'm not going to get to Raven anymore, so he just started messing around with Clark, and let you know, Raven's back. Much to Clark's surprise, of course. Finn asks Raven how she got to Earth, and she tells him how she rebuilt the pod. Raven starts to feel lightheaded, and Clark comes over to assist with her head injury. Finn introduces Clark to Raven, and Raven tells Clark how it was all her mother, Abby's, doing. She then tells them about the plan, Colleen, and how they need to alert the Ark and that the 100 are alive. They discover the missing radio, and Clark tells Finn and Raven they need to find Bellamy. Chancellor Jaha is contemplating Wells' old chessboard when Abby storms in and asks him if it is true he's going to die in Section 17 and leave the Chancellorship in the hands of Marcus Kane. Abby tells him that it is happening too fast and they have other options and possibilities left to try first. She tells Jaha he is a coward and is running away before leaving him. She goes to her quarters and removes a memory stick with Jake Griffin's message to the people of the Ark about the oxygen shortage that he was floated the year before trying to distribute. So remember Jake from the previous episode, Clark's dad, Abby's ex. Well, they were together until he got floated. Octavia is heading through the woods back to the camp when a noise startles her. She begins to hurry and loses her footing as she tries to climb down a hill. She tumbles down it instead, hitting her head on a rock and knocking herself out. Clark catches up to Bellamy in the woods and orders him to tell her where the radio is. She tells him about the Colleen and how they are getting ready to kill 300 people for oxygen. Finn and Raven arrive, and Raven tells him that they have been looking everywhere on the Ark for him. Bellamy tells her to shut up as Clark asks why. Raven tells them how Bellamy shot Chancellor Jaha, and Clark realizes that is the reason why he took all the wristbands. Raven demands to know where her radio is, and Bellamy tells her he should have killed her when he had the chance. Raven challenges him to do it, and he shoves her against a tree as she pulls a knife on him and asks again where her radio is. You don't want to mess with Raven Reyes. Bellamy lets her go and tells them Jaha deserved to die. Raven tells Bellamy he was a lousy shot and that Jaha is not dead. Clark tells Bellamy this means he is not a murderer. He was just protecting his sister. Now it is time to protect 300 plus people and give them back the radio. Bellamy tells her it is too late. And then we have an Ark-wide message is being broadcast. It is Jake Griffin telling the people about the oxygen shortage. Commander Shumway alerts Marcus Kane, and Kane goes after Abby. Jaha watches the message as Jake Griffin tells the people that they need to come together and face the crisis. After the message, Abby comes on and tells the Ark that her husband was killed for trying to deliver that message, and now, in 12 hours, 320 people will be sacrificed. Marcus Kane arrives where Abby is at, and the guards are able to pry the door open. Bellamy has several hundred searching for the missing radio in the river. Finn tells Clark he should have told her about Raven. Clark tells him that she gets it. She was just around and passably cute. Just then, Jones finds the radio. Raven tells them it will take at least a half day to dry it out and see what is broken. Clark yells at Bellamy for what he did, and the 300 people will die because of him. Raven interrupts and tells them they don't actually have to talk to the Ark. They just have to let them know they are alive. Jaha yells at Abby that she has made an impossible situation worse. Marcus Kane warns them there are 400 people gathered outside. A man tells Jaha that the crowd outside has sent an emissary to speak with Abby. Tor Lemkin enters, the guy with the daughter that's going blind, and wants to volunteer for Section 17 because his daughter is going blind and he can't help prevent that from happening. More Sky people follow, one each volunteering for a spot in Section 17 to give their loved ones extra air. Chancellor Jaha admits to Abby and Jake that Jake was right. It would bring out the best in them. Raven is organizing the 100 on stripping her pod for spare parts to create rocket launchers. Clark asks if they will be able to see the rockets from the Ark, and Raven tells her that Abby will be watching for them. Marcus Kane brings Jaha the final list of volunteers and tells them they had to reject almost 100 people. Chancellor Jaha gets ready to go to Section 17, and Marcus Kane again tells him he does not have to do it. Chancellor Jaha tells Kane that it was Jake who inspired the people of the Ark, and Jaha had his friend executed. Kane tells him that their survival depends on a leader who can inspire his people to self-sacrifice, and that leader is Jaha, not Kane. Meanwhile, Tor is saying goodbye to his daughter Reese, lying to her about working on a double shift. He tries to pull her hair back out of her face with the barrette, and she tells him to stop. They hug goodbye as he watches her walk away with tears in his eyes for the last time. As the volunteers file into Section 17, Kane tells Abby he reminded Jaha that changing to a new chancellor would be destabilizing. He also tells her that he left 2 men monitoring the radio in case Raven calls through. Abby thanks him as they watch the volunteers enter Section 17. Jaha thanks Tor, I should say. I think I saw Thor earlier, for his sacrifice, and Tor tells him not to because he is doing it for his daughter. Tor and 319 other Sky people all file into Section 17 and take their seats. Tor holds on to his daughter's barrette as Sinclair reports to Jaha that all the hatches and vents have been sealed in Section 17 and asks for the order. Jaha instead walks over to Sinclair's station and presses the button himself, terminating the airflow into Section 17. Our characters on the Earth begin lifting off the rockets and watch as they go soaring into the evening sky. The people in Section 17 begin to fall asleep as the air supply is cut off. Tor plays with Reese's barrette as Jaha gives a eulogy for them. Tor eventually falls asleep, dropping the barrette. Later, Abby and Jackson enter Section 17, where 320 bodies are piled where they fell asleep. They start to remove the corpses, and Abby picks up Reese's barrette from where Tor had dropped it. Bellamy asks Clark if she thinks the Ark will be able to see the rocket. She tells him she doesn't know and wonders if they can wish on the flares as a shooting star. Bellamy tells her he wouldn't know what to wish for. And then in the woods, Octavia awakens after falling down the hill and hitting her head. The flares flash across the sky as she looks up into the face of a grounder who's named Lincoln. We don't know that yet, but we find out. And then lastly, Jaha visits Abby in lockup and passes her a flask as he tells her they make the best choices and they can and hope for forgiveness. She asks if they even deserve to be forgiven. Suddenly, Abby and Chancellor Jaha see the rocket flares from the 100 through the window, and that's what ends this episode of the 100. So, good episode. I'm going to give it an 8.3 out of 10. Characters of the episode, Raven. I really like Raven's character. She's easy on the eyes, too, which is always good. Abby, phenomenal job on the Ark to try to save people. She didn't ultimately save people, but it made it so it wasn't a slaughter. People volunteered to help others. And then Chancellor Jaha, I kind of like his character. It's going to be sad to know that his son's dead, and they just kind of went past Wells real quick. So that's what I have to say about this episode. Now I want to hear from you. If you're a fan of the 100 and you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please make sure that you Hulk smash the like button. It does help out the channel quite a bit. Share the video with a friend. Put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are regarding this episode of the 100. What would you rate it? Who would be your character or characters of the episode? And anything else that you want to add. And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. Subscribe to the channel. You're watching the video anyway. Help me get over 100,000 subscribers. Yes, I know I set my goals high. Join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And you never know where you'll see on JDevTV.